right. Thank you, Catherine. Hi, everyone. This is Brittany Preventure. I am the host of REI Live here in Sarasota. We are still virtual until further notice. In the state of Florida, they are allowing groups of 50 people. However, our hotel that we typically go to, the Carlisle Inn, is still taking a lot of precautions, and they are not allowing us to come back quite yet. So it might be another month or two, but we will play that by ear and we'll update you as we go. So welcome to REI Live Virtual. Once again, this is our June session. Just a couple of reminders for you before we get started with Mr. Randy. I want to make sure that you guys find us on social media, on our Facebook page and everything else in between. We post everything on Facebook and our website. So we always want to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information and you can talk to us there as well. So make sure you grab our handles. We are also on YouTube. All of these recordings are always uploaded, and you always want to make sure that you subscribe to our channel and that you turn on the bell. The bell will remind you whenever there's a new video so that you don't miss anything. So what is REI Live? REI Live is the newest way for investors in real estate entrepreneurs to network and collaborate. We do have them in 5 cities. We started in Birmingham, Alabama, then we went to Columbia, South Carolina, us here in Sarasota, Atlanta, and then the newest one is in Orlando. Every month we always bring a keynote speaker, and we do our best to get you done by 7:30. Sometimes we go until 8, but we get really excited, so sometimes we go a little bit later. Our investor quarters. So investor quarters is a place where you can come and get some free education. We keep all of our information on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/investor quarters. On Tuesday, June 30th, which is next week, you have what you need to know about insurance for investment properties. And then the following Tuesday, on the 7th, learn the ins and outs of PropStream with Paul Del Pozo. And then on the 14th, the week after that, we have how to structure your LLC, trust, and other companies, ownership with Holly. And I'm going to chop up her name, but I think it's Nicolich. Awesome. And our upcoming dates. So our next REI Live is going to be July 30th, but I have a feeling we are still going to be virtual in July. August, we may be in person, but we will see. But those are our dates for the rest of the year. We do own LeadX as well. LeadX is a great resource to have discounted lead lists, websites, CRMs. It helps you get PropStream set up in regards to alternatives for the MLS. And then we also have skip tracing tools now through different companies, and we have discounts for mail houses. So if that's anything that you would be interested in, please reach out to Catherine or myself, and we will get you set up in that. And here's some of our sponsors. And we have 2 pages of sponsors now, which is super fun. And then this is all of our information. Paul, Mark, Catherine, and myself. These are our email addresses and our handles for Instagram and social media and our actual cell phone numbers. We want you to reach out to us if you have any questions in regards to anything. I know that we're going to have more events rolling in towards the end of 2020, so we'll want to miss those, and we will answer any questions that you may have. So please contact us if you have any questions. And next month, we are super excited. We have Tom Kroll Thursday on July 30th at 6:30 p.m. He is one of the owners of Wholesaling Inc. and actually Paul and myself's original mentor in regards to wholesaling. He is a wholesaling master, so he will bring a wealth of knowledge, and he's just an all-around good guy to begin with. So make sure that you get your ticket at facebook.com/REI Live SRQ. And without further ado, we have Mr. Randy Lawrence, who is a master of single and multifamily homes. He is a veteran in this area with all of that stuff. So I will pass it over to you, sir.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. It's glad to be here with everybody and the opportunity to connect together. I know the virtual thing, you got to adapt, overcome, but that's kind of part of what you got to do in real estate anyway, right? So just really kind of sharing a little bit about my background, and then also hopefully share with you some of the things that have helped us to scale to 150 5 million-ish in assets. So I started off in 2003, single family, and also small multifamily, small apartment complexes, and then really started progressing forward in probably 4, 5, and 6, scaling out our single family, fix and flip kind of operations. And we navigated through the last crash, 2008. A lot of people, of course, that were in real estate at that time were out of real estate after that. And, we continued to navigate and move forward through that. Had a real large short sale company at the time where, again, just having to recognize you got to kind of go with the tide. And so, at that time we were here in Florida, and just a tsunami of foreclosures were coming. And so we were able to help hundreds of people, did tons of them down there in Sarasota. Our footprint probably covered from Orlando down to Punta Gorda. So we had a large operation, manager, short sale negotiators, kind of the whole bit. But simultaneously, as that kind of started winding down, we, revamped our renovations, because again, we didn't really need to renovate properties in that time. You could buy, brand new houses for, they sold for 300. They were now worth 150, and the bank would take, 120. And so we were able to, really help a lot of people, and also use that as an opportunity to help us continue to go through that time. But, really our passion had been in the multifamily space. And so, probably in 2015, refocused on that, on large apartment complexes. There's a lot of advantage to the apartment complex with the scale, the leverage, and so we've grown that side of the company on the multifamily side to 11 complexes and $100+ million. Now, we do have people that invest with us in that side. That's also another reason that we really focused on it, because one of the things I think for me was in 2015, where one of the ladies had been investing with us at that time, now about 13 years, came to me and she said, "Randy, I really want to thank you for what you've done for me and my family." And I'm like, "Well, what is that?" And she's like, "Because of investing with you and the returns that we've gotten, when the economy went down in 2008, that money kept my business afloat. And then in 2009 and 2010, when both my kids were ready to go to college, that money put them through college, and one became a school teacher, the other a firefighter." And she said, "I'm getting ready to sell my business in a commercial plaza I own and put that money with you so I can take care of my," at the time, I think 85-year-old mother. And so it was just like, wow, that was so impactful, because for me, it's 3 generations of people that have been impacted. And, we wanted to help more people. That's kind of a core value for us, is to deliver value and to help people. Kind of a biblical thing, right? You give and it's given to you. I know people, you say that, right? But it's like we don't do it because a lot of times we're so self-focused about getting what we need. But out of that, I recognized, hey, I want to help more people like her. And so I don't really have a desire to flip 300 houses a year. I have friends that do that. We flip probably about 75+ houses a year. And so that was really kind of the thing. All right, we're going to scale the multifamily. We've done it in the small apartments. Now we want to scale larger complexes. And so, with that, we started focusing on that and growing that area of the business. And also, I think strategically and demographically, that's part of where we're at in this country. There's a chokehold on affordable housing. There's a limited supply. It's a very tough thing. And so for us, we invest in a category where you have a fixed supply and a growing demand. It's always going to be kind of a winning strategy. And so we have other investors that invest with us in that arena. The value proposition that I see on that, contrasted to houses, again, we still flip a lot of houses, is that the scale of the multifamily gives a greater return, whereas maybe a net return on a rental on a single family home is between 6 to 8%. We're paying investors preferred return of 12% in the multifamily space, because you've got a 75 to 80% loan. You've got the scale of having 100 units at one location. And so, we also are able to get costs down, where you have an on-site manager, on-site maintenance, economies of scale. There's just a lot of things that you're able to scale in the apartment complex that are not as easily scalable with bringing together the single family rentals. Now, that being said, we had, probably 44 at one time, and now we're down to maybe 6 or 8. So the thing I want to talk about, it's kind of the background of where we're at. On the apartment complex side, that's an ongoing operation where people invest with us. And, if it's something that is of interest, I'm happy to talk with people about, how can you take those steps, or what does that look like in terms of the investment opportunity. But I think a lot of times people are starting off with, and again, I remember myself, attending some of the RIAs that I started out with in 2003, is like you're in the beginning phases, of buy, fix, and sell, or maybe wholesaling, and or acquiring properties for rentals, just as we did. And so the thing I would say is what you've got to begin to develop is a systematic approach to what you're doing. I know a lot of times people tend to be scattered where they take whatever opportunity comes their way, instead of being more systematically disciplined and focused about, one, defining the outcome that I want to get, and then systematically going about doing it. Like, I have a family friend that was a executive, got laid off. They'd been wanting to flip houses. Now they're starting on their second house flip, right? And the advice that I gave to them was that you've got to begin to create systems in creating a business, right? I mean, too many people become a house flipper and they're either doing the work, or they're, kind of focused on one at a time. And it's not something that they're systematically going about to scale the business. And the truth of the matter is, I have employees now that do, virtually all aspects of the business. But I've been involved in all aspects of the business. And like, I was the guy, right? When it started off, it was just me, but even now we flip, like I said, about 70, 75 houses a year. And I only spend probably 2 hours on a Monday at our team meeting with that. And then maybe another hour to hour and a half just with any type of choke points, answering questions or helping team members navigate past that. And so that is at a place where that's only possible to do if you're creating systems in your scaling. And so what I would say for anybody that's, depending on where you're at in the process, every job that you're doing in the investment process, you can begin to look at it through the lens of creating a replicatable system that ultimately somebody else will do. So if it is that you are doing your own acquisitions and you are contacting wholesalers, or maybe you're texting or door knocking directly to homeowners, you can create a systematic approach that you're now able to pass on to somebody that now they could take on that aspect. So when you make that, second, third, fourth, fifth flip profit, and you've made 20, 30, 40, 80, 150, 200,000, whatever those numbers are, you can now take those proceeds and begin to invest in your business. Because that's where, again, for me, a long time ago, I was a business guy. I owned a money management firm. I was a registered investment advisor and stockbroker, owned my own company that I sold in 2006. I had intentions of creating a business, because unfortunately, a lot of times people end up creating just a job, right? You leave being a plumber, or you leave being an engineer, or whatever that may be, to become a real estate investor. And what you've done is you've created a hellacious job that sucks, right? I love real estate, but boy, this sucks. I'm working all the time. And so that's where the scaling, the systems in the process are going to be absolutely critical. And, I did not have a great deal of systems in place at first, right? When we went through the crash, 2008, we had a $5 million company, and probably the primary system was me telling people what to do. And I always wondered, why the hell can't people remember what to do? And it's like, well, because they don't have a guide or like a checklist to follow of how to replicate and do it. I mean, it used to frustrate the hell out of me. I'd be like, like, why can't they get it? Like, I'm telling you this for the fourth time. This is the process for the rent collection, da, da, da. And like, And like, who was the dummy? Really was me, right? I should have recognized, and I remember very clearly having that kind of epiphany moment. I read a book called The E-Myth. If you haven't read that book, I'd advise you to read it, right? And in that book, there is a baker, and the baker is like a slave to the bakery. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm the baker, right? Because everybody's coming to me on my team for answers instead of having a process or a system. And so for me, that began to be the beginning. It's like, look, okay, we're going to go through this period, create the short sale company because I see that's on the horizon. But we're going to do it out of the gate with the implementation and the creation of systems. And, every aspect of what you do in real estate can be systematized. And so, the only constriction is your belief, right? I was talking with somebody else on another show because of our podcast, The Real Estate Preacher. They wanted me to be on their show and stuff. And they were like, oh my God, you're flipping 75 houses a year and you're spending 2+ hours a week doing it. Like a lot of our people would think that's not possible. And it's like, well, that's the problem right there. You've already predefined that's not possible. And I'm suggesting to you, because I know it to be true from my own experience and the experience of others, that in the real estate strategy of investing, whether it's wholesaling, like Tom Kroll, he's a friend of mine. His brother, Todd Toback's a buddy of mine. Tom's not running around door to door closing deals. I mean, maybe once in a while still to keep his skills sharp, but he's got people doing that in his team, right? Same thing with Todd. And so whether it's wholesaling or rehabbing or rental, you can develop a systematic approach. And so I want to encourage you, like with our rehab business, from the acquisitions, it's systematized. We do, mailing, texting, calling. It's all done by a systematic approach where somebody else is doing it, and then I'm looking at the metrics on it. And so again, if you're the individual doing it right now, you can begin to develop, okay, all right, here's what you're saying to the person on the phone, right? Step one is, instead of you keep saying it every time, create a script. And then now you master the script and make it a repeatable process. John Martinez is another good buddy of mine. He's got an incredible program where just scripting, teaching, training walks you right through it. So again, that's where the acquisitions component. Maybe you are a rehabber. You love rehab. I love rehabbing because of the transformative effect, right? It's like you take this piece of crap and make it nice, and you help this person you bought the home from, and then now, a new family's living in the home. But within the rehab formula, you can create a process that then defines you're going to do the same renovation process over and over again. And that's one of the things I got pushback when I talked about that before. It's like, well, how do you do it? Every house is virtually the same, right? They're 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We've created a process where it's in Dropbox. I haven't been out to a house in probably 7 years. My project manager goes out to the house, follows the process to, make the evaluations, then put together a budget based on our scope of work, our pricing. Like, again, like we don't have like, hey, Mr. Contractor, what's this cost? It's like, we know this is what it cost and this is what we're paying. And so, again, you can create that process so that now it's like, here's the predefined materials we use on every home, whether it's this tile, this carpet, this paint, this granite countertops, these cabinets, everything's predefined, and you create that as a system. And then again, you're going out there in the field doing it, but then now as you do it, I mean, there's so much technology, you can just be creating it like by speaking into your phone and then downloading it into an app and then creating it into a Word document that now here's an actual process to someone follow. And well, what's the value of that? The value of that is that instead of you overseeing the rehab, now you can move from 1 rehab to 2 rehabs to 3 rehabs, and now you've got somebody that is executing that for you while you're executing greater components of the business. it's like Mark and I were talking. I was in Tahoe in March. We were out there, my family and I, for a ski trip for the month of March. Now we got shut down because of COVID and all the craziness, had to come back early. And again, though, Mark was, out in Colorado doing the same thing. Him and I were talking. But it's like, in order to gain that type of freedom, it starts with creating the systems and the processes that will enable you to scale. And so, simultaneously to us doing the rehab flips like we've talked about and growing the multifamily business, we'll go from 100 million to 500 million over the next 2 years. And that's also being done by scale, process, and people. And simultaneously, since 2011, so the last 9 years, I've spent 2 months out of the year vacationing with my family while still growing these businesses. And then even from 2011 to 2016, I also pastored a church full time that my wife and I were involved with starting. So these opportunities are there to live a full life and not just be a slave to work. And again, I've met a ton of burned out investors, right? That they think it's going to be financial freedom, and then it becomes this kind of rat wheel where it's just, kind of one thing to the next. And the key that's going to unlock the door for that freedom is you developing a systematic approach. First and foremost, defining where you're going to be and what period of time that's going to be in, right? Like, so what I just told you is we're at 100 million. I said that, 3.5 years ago, we'll be at 100 million. And now we're going to be at 500 million within the next 2 years. And so there's a predefined outcome that's already established. It's not if, it's not maybe, it's not might happen, it's going to be. And then now it is a systematic approach of what are the steps necessary to get there. And, the great thing about it is that now you've got a clear path, what to do and what not to do, right? I get plenty of people that say, hey, man, come do this or that. And I'm like, yeah, no, thanks, right? Because it doesn't fit with who I am, where I am, or where I'm going. Now, Mark is a friend. He's also invested with us in apartments and seeing and knowing the value and the returns that's there. And so, and again, it's like, him and I are talking. He's like, oh, man, hey, I'd love to have you on the REI. We actually planned it before the COVID thing. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do it. I'd love to be a part of it. Why? Because I'm together with like-minded people that are looking to deliver value. But again, I get other people come to me and say, hey, I've got this ground up construction project in Vegas. Be awesome. You'll make all this money. I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. Right? It doesn't fit with the plan of where I'm going. And that's where too many people, you don't have that vision, and lack of vision, great quote says that people perish. So you got to have a vision. And then secondly, it's now about what are going to be the processes and then also the people necessary to get me to that vision. And hey, look, don't do what I'm doing just because I'm doing it, right? That's a fool's errand, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to be an investor. I like being hands-on and I want to do 5 houses a year and make $100,000. That's great. That's what you want and that fits your lifestyle. That's great. I doing what I want to do because it fits who I am. Even my project manager, when we talk in our weekly meetings on our one-on-ones, he's like, dude, I wouldn't want the responsibilities you have. It's like too grande, and I'm like, that's all good, man. That's how I'm designed. And so he's enjoying his life doing what he's doing, but I'm enjoying mine. And so I think you've got to be true to who you are in that process. But without question and without fail, it's not necessary to just be constrained to a limitation because you don't know the pathway. And hopefully here today we can talk about, and again, I'm happy to answer questions and dive into whatever we want to, but the goal would be is to see that there is an opportunity to take where you're at and accomplish anything. I love the fact that there's a great quote in my favorite book where Jesus said, all things are possible to him who believes, right? That's the starting point. If you believe it, you can conceive it, you can achieve it. And so, and I know that too, Mark, and I've talked numerous times. I mean, he's just telling me, praise the Lord, he bought a place out in Colorado, right? We talked about that in whatever, maybe January or something, where he's thinking, yeah, he said, this is going to be the thing. I'm testing it out, and bam, now it's the thing. He's got it, right? So that's how that process works. So, I mean, I'm happy to dive into any more specifics. I'm not here to kind of sell a program or enroll you into something. I don't have a coaching program or anything like that. What I have is we kick ass and do a lot of great real estate, and we have a lot of great knowledge. And we help a lot of investors that invest with us. And so I'm happy to share that. And so hopefully out of that comes some value.
So I've got a question for you. When you were going from the mindset and the habit of being the gopher, the go-to, the person doing it all, how did you change? I mean, it's a habit change and it's a personality. How did you do that?
For sure. Well, the first part, great question. First part was the revelation. You've got to know where you're at before you can move away from that point. And so that for me was the book, The E-Myth. When I read that book, I'm like, holy crap, I'm the baker. Like, I don't have good enough systems or any systems at all per se. And I recognize that's going to lead me to servitude. I'm not going to get freedom that way. And then the second part was really through a process of incantations. My wife was training. We were starting off to do a triathlon, and I was training with her. And in the community we lived in at the time, they had almost an Olympic-sized pool. And so I'm in the pool. We're training in the swim. And as I'm swimming in the training, I'm saying, just as God created the universe, I'm a master of systems. And so with every stroke of my body, so now there's a physiology that goes in place with your rewiring energy and also into your subconscious mind. Every stroke that just like God is a master of the universe, I'm a master of systems. And so I'm saying that over and over and over again, every time we're training. I ended up getting an injury, and she went on to become a real Ironman, praise the Lord. But I did effectively then start to rewire my focus. And then now I remember flying out to California for a business meeting, and I'm on the plane outlining some of the very first systems. And then I bought at that time Dragon voice recording. And then because I can speak faster than I can type, and I'm headset on, with the Dragon voice recorder, boom, 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 creating the outlines of the rudimentary systems. And then at the time, I think we might have had, 3 internal employees. And then I tasked them with, now you've got to take what you're doing and create a written procedure document with it. And then now from that, we refined it. And so that was the beginning part of it. But you've got to take massive action in the process of rewiring that broken habit. And that's where people a lot of times will fail, because, I would tell you that it was tough in the beginning to change that habit, because the habit was so ingrained. And that's why I was doing, the swimming and the incantations. And the incantation, Tony Robbins talks about this, different from an affirmation. You're engaging emotion, you're engaging physiology, and you're saying it, now I'm underwater, so I'm saying it as loud as I can to myself. But it's rewiring your makeup as you do that. And then it requires repetition. I mean, it was like every day. But then the outcome of that now.
You speak my language here. You're speaking my language here, Randy. Rewriting the brain and repetition. And I heard a lot of things that make a lot of sense. Like what you said was a clear vision with an elevated emotion, systematically disciplined, and then building systems to create a business. But it all starts right here with your thinking first. And you had a revelation and you started moving forward in an organized fashion when you had a vision in place for what you wanted to create in the future.
Absolutely. Well, that's the great thing too about meetings like this, is where you come to a meeting, like you guys used to be in present. You'll be back again, Lord willing, in August. But you come to the meeting, and then you hear Mark or myself or one of the other people that come and speak, and that becomes the moment. Just like for me, it was the E-Myth. I read that book. I'm a big reader. I'm probably reading 5-6 books all the time, and it was like that one little nugget become the revelation that creates the window that it's possible. There's something more than what I have right now, and I know in my spirit I want more, that it's possible because this person's doing it. And then that becomes now, okay, what are the sequences? And there's so many great resources. And I know Mark is again cut from the same cloth. That's really, it starts there. It's the truth, right? Like you've got to start here and then move forward. And that was pushback I had. Like I was telling you, people was like, oh, it's not possible to renovate houses like that. You got to go to the house. Like you're an idiot. No, that's not the case. That's not the truth. That may be your truth, but it's not my truth. And you know, now that may be offensive, but sometimes you need some tough love, right? And you know, because like the first time I had seen a friend, like, holy crap, you mean you do that and like you don't go there anymore? How is that possible? Same thing I'm saying, right, is what they said. And that sparked me on to realizing, you know what, it's possible. And it took work and effort and trial and error and, you know, refinement and improvement. You know, I mean, even now, and it still does. Look, my project manager missed a thing on a house, and then the COVID thing happened. So the COVID's cost us some money just because everything was shut down with the permit office and all that crap. But it probably cost us 15 grand. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, hey, did I make more than $15,000 with the other stuff that I've been doing? You betcha. You know what I mean? And so then he learned. It was a very painful lesson for him. And now probably at least, you know, 5,000 of that's because of the COVID thing. So call it 10 grand. I mean, that's a pricey mistake that was missed on his part, but I can darn sure guarantee you he doesn't make it again. And thankfully, COVID won't be going on and the permit office won't be shut down and, you know, waiting 3 months for a stinking inspection. It's crazy.
It is crazy what's going on. So guys, I have some more questions, but if y'all have questions, I'll post in the chat box again and I'll read them out to you, Randy, so we can get them answered to you. Because I know that a lot of people, especially in our program, we talk about setting up systems every day because that's really the only way to scale.
That's the gold standard, like, you know, and I would just come back to thinking about like whatever you're doing. And I remember Than Merrill telling me this a long time ago, like, and it's like, whatever you're doing, you can create it as a system, you know, and that's the truth. Even, I mean, regardless, anything you're doing in your business, now there's the one-off weird thing, you got some weird title thing and like, you know, whatever, that's not a system. But, you know, in real estate, it is, whether it's the acquisitions part, you know, it's the same process over and over again, different people. The renovation piece, it's the same process. The financing piece, it's the same process. I mean, good Lord, we've got tons of private lenders we work with. We've had a private lending program for 17 years. I don't even talk to those people. I mean, we're friends and we talk like that, but like there's somebody in my office that just, they handle all the paperwork. Okay, this house needs this much money. It comes from this lender in our program, and you know, it's all done. It's automatic. So every piece of the business, you can create a systematic approach. Even to some of the bigger guys on back end disposition struggle with, I got to look at the price. I ended up creating a system where it's like we've got 2 people that make the price evaluation from when we've gone in, and then it's rechecked on the exit. And, you know, in the honest way, when talking with them, I was like, look, dude, you're either right or you're wrong, and you damn sure better be right. That's it. Bottom line, you've been in this long enough that it's either right or wrong. And so now there's 2 of them that have to come together and, you know, make sure, okay, one guy's at 220, the other guy's at 230. Who's right and who's wrong? Or do they come together and it's really 222.5? I don't know. But it's out of that we create a process where then I don't have to even look at that, because it's like it's double checked before we ever buy the property. And again, I've made it very clear with the accountability, right? That's another part that's key. Look, you can't have systems without accountability. And so it's like what you expect, you have to inspect. And so when we set that up, and that was probably about, maybe 2 years ago, I made it very clear. We went through a multiple training cycle with the people, and then also had to come to Jesus, right? You had better be right about this. This is not an area where you have willy-nilly, right? It's kind of like Amazon. Jeff Bezos has two different types of decision. Decision type one, you walk through the door sucks, you go back out and make another decision, right? That's not a life-changing decision. His threshold's 70%, meaning like if you got 70% information, go make the decision. Mine's more like probably 80, 85. And then type two decision, it's life altering. You better be right. And so I explained to my team, hey, pricing, that's a type two decision. You better be right. This ain't no shooting from the hip kind of thing. Because once you say that we can sell it for 225, and then holy crap, you can't sell it but for 175, you've just cost us 50 grand.
That's a big one. What does your accountability look like, and how did you structure that? Because people need to know.
Yeah, so we have a team meeting every week where our whole team comes together. You could do it virtually. We do it in person in our conference room. And so each person has to submit as part of their team report in terms of the accountability piece that's going on. We've also got Podio built out with, kind of tricked out and all that stuff. And then there is a weekly individual accountability where, here's what I've got done this week. Here's what I'm working on this week. And so, there's a clear expectation and inspection of what they're doing. And then from the standpoint of view of that kind of, disposition pricing model, that's all built into Podio where, both parties have to, have their accountability piece in there. And then in our team meeting, it's like, check, 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 all the boxes check. I click a button right there that just says, I've approved what everybody's done, and it's become pretty simple, but it was a process to develop that. And it was also a process to get people to recognize, like, I'm not the guy, because that's part of the thing that hurts people the most is if you're the guy or the gal who's doing it, then the person's expecting you to do it. Like you're the answer man. And it's like, well, no, I'm not going to be the answer man. You're going to tell the price and you're going to be right, And so it took, probably 3 months to make sure, because I, hey, I'm not stupid either, right? So I double checking behind their numbers in the first month or so and seeing, okay, they're on point, they're on point, they're on point. It's good now.
Was that hard for you to give up that control? Which I understand control is an illusion, but for doers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and so in the beginning, yes, but then the recognition, and this goes to something Mark said before, it's like the breakthrough, right? Right. So I've got bigger aspirations than, being in control of that little thing, right? And then I recognized in that revelation moment, it's like, well, I can't get there if I'm holding on to this. It's impossible. It's believe all you want, your hands are full, you ain't getting there. And so that's where it's like the pain of that was great enough to be like, you know what? I don't need to be in control comparative to the vision I have. And so now I'm going to let go of these pieces. I'm not just going to let it go blindly, but I'm going to do it in a process way. And I think that's where people get a little bit scared about that. You're not just blindly throwing something and like, oh, holy crap, I hope it works out. It is done in a systematic, thoughtful way. And then you still have greater control because there's accountability with the person you gave it to, and you're able to see that feedback. Even now, with the, we're in the finishing touches of some of the upgrades we're doing in Podio, that it's like, we had everything in Excel models and different thing like that. And we've been using Podio for, God, probably 4 years, 3 years, but really just taking it to another level to fully integrate everything. And so now it's like, it's all right there in a visual, and I don't have to click to another Excel sheet, but
I love Podio.
yeah, for sure.
It's so organized.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any questions coming in.
Let's give Randy a virtual round of applause for all that information, especially the stuff that's congruent with me. I love that the most.
Amen. It's awesome. Well,
Uh,
and again, some of the things, I mean, again, like the apartments where we've, gone to 100 million plus and then moving to 500 million. I mean, whatever it is that you desire to achieve, it's achievable, right? And there's a lot of pieces that go into the puzzle to get there, no doubt. But I would say central to that is surrounding yourself with the right people. So being a part of the group with Mark and Catherine and other folks that are here and people that are coming in every month to speak, that's critical to increasing your understanding, not just, kind of a knowledge base, but your understanding so you can take action. And again, for me, one of the most valuable things has been for me is having mentors that I've had over the years, and also being a part of masterminds or groups like this that have helped me expand my understanding and or shown me a process or a pathway.
and what you heard here, some positive information, him taking action, him having a huge goal for the next 2 years. And lots of people are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for this to get done. There's nothing to get done. What needs to happen is you need to go to work. You need to believe in your dreams, and you need to take action starting right now. There's nothing holding you back except the 6 inches between your ears that is saying you can't. Get rid of the can'ts and start doing and moving forward each day in the direction of that clear vision that you have for yourself. He's put it out there in the public now, 1 million to 5 million, and he knows he's going to do it. It's based on his past goals that he did before, following the same processes. He talked about systems and beliefs. Those systems and beliefs actually work together with the way you think, building new synaptic pathways in your brain that will allow you to move from where you are today to where you want to go. It's all a process and a system, and it starts with the way that you think.
Absolutely. It's exciting stuff. I mean, praise the Lord. There's a lot of good things. And, the greatest thing too for us at this point, we're delivering value to help people, right? So if we buy 70 houses in a year, that's 70 people we've helped. They needed to sell a house. We were able to buy it. Then it gets fixed up and sold. And then there's 70 families. Like one of my team members just showed an email to me on this past Monday where the people, they saw the house. There was like 2 or 3 people that want it. They're praying. The moment they saw it, they're praying that they would get the house. They believed it was the house for them, where they had a kid and one on the way, and that they'd be able to raise their family. And like, how cool is that, right? Like, we're an answer to their prayer, and we did sell them the house. And so
Actually,
they're gonna raise their family there, and that was it. They've been praying for months, and when the moment they saw it, they knew this is the answer to our prayers. And so, like, that's super cool. And then, at this point in time, we've got just under 1,100 apartments. And so there's 1,100 families that we're providing a quality of life where they have a place to raise their family in. And we treat them with dignity, respect, and make it a better quality of life by providing them a good place to live. And then also we've got tons of investors that have been invested with us for now 17 years with double-digit returns, no loss of capital. It's changed their life. And so that's the thing that I can look at and be motivated about on a daily basis. It's not just about like, how much money can I make? I mean, I've got enough of that, but it's like, we're going to make more, but yet it's like, we're going to impact more people. And that's the coolest thing, that in this arena, in real estate, you can really impact people in a quality way and make a difference in their life.
one thing you help enough people get what they want, you're always going to get what you want. And those 70 houses that you did, you helped many more than 70. You forgot about the sellers of the house and all the people that you employed to fix those houses. And that's just one guy doing one thing in one town. So this has a cumulative effect that makes a difference in the whole world.
It's huge, man. I mean, we probably have 7, 8 contractors team with us at any given time. We've got probably right at about 30 employees through the multifamily side. One guy on the single family side's been with us 17 years, I mean, and we've got contractors that stay with us 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And again, like just what Mark said, that they have, wife, 2 kids, their family, it's a huge impact. So yes, you can become wealthy in this arena, no doubt. I'm living proof of it, Mark, many other people.
And help people along the way.
For sure. That's the funniest thing is like kind of the Bible, it says, give and it shall be given to you. Now, people a lot of times heard that in church or whatever, and they're like, they're trying to get my money. But it's true, right? It's like the law of sowing and reaping. You plant one kernel of corn and it grows a plant, and the plant's got 10 ears of corn on it. Each ear's got like what, 80 kernels? So you put in one and then you got back 800. That's the reality of how nature works. It's the reality of how God set up the universe. It's the reality of how it works. The problem we have is we want our one kernel, and we're struggling to be willing to give. And so, but the truth is exactly that. The more you help other people, the more it comes back to you. And I've seen that in my own life. And then it took a while to kind of turn the corner in my mind to be like, okay, it's not just about me getting mine. It's about me helping other people get theirs.
And it says in the Bible, the ask formula: ask and you will receive.
Mhm.
Seek and you will find, and knock and the door will be opened. So get that clear vision, ask, knock, and get ready.
Indeed, indeed.
Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share, Randy?
Yeah, I would just encourage you, the dream that you have, this inside of you and that burning passion, God's put it there for a reason. And don't let people poo-poo that, right? There's plenty of people like, so look, I drive a Ferrari and I drive it every day and I love it, right? There's plenty of people that go, oh my God, you're this or that. It's like, well, first of all, I don't give a crap what you think. Okay, that's one. But two, the coolest thing happened is yesterday, a dude knocks at my door at my office. We we have an executive office building, and my car sits out front in my spot. And I'm like, nobody knocks on my door because the team is in another set. I have a separate office suite. So I know when somebody's knocking at the door, it's not my team. They know there's a protocol how to come in my office and all. So somebody's here. So I open the door. He's like, I'm sorry to disturb you, but are you the owner of the Ferrari? And I'm like, well, yeah. Turns out it's this nice guy, probably in his late 30s. He's got an autistic son that's 9 years old. The autistic son loves exotic cars, makes Legos and model cars of Ferraris and Lamborghinis. He says, would it at all be possible? It's my son's dream to see one of these cars. And I've drove by it every day on my way to work. He said, unfortunately, I just got, laid off, but my son would love to see it. I mean, I hate to be a bird. I'm like, oh my God, no, yeah, bring him by. So we set an appointment. He's coming tomorrow morning at 9:30 to see the car, and I'll let him get in it and take pictures. If his dad's okay, we'll take him for a drive down the street. But it's this 9-year-old autistic boy's dream. He said they took him to a car show last month, and they didn't have Ferraris or Lamborghinis. They had some other cars and muscle cars and Aston Martin, but his thing. And so, like, that's going to bless that kid's life, right? And it's blessed my life. I love driving. It's a fun car, but it's not about the car. It's about who I've become in the journey to getting the car. And I'm telling you that story because maybe it is you desire to achieve something that other people around you haven't achieved, and then people kind of poo-poo you for like, you shouldn't think that way. Crap on that. You should think that way. That burning desire to have more, be more, and do more. I would tell you that it's God's implanted that in you because it's part of your mission to bring a positive impact on people you encounter on your journey to accomplishing that. So, and again, yeah, do it like Mark said, by helping people, do it by being honest, by being fair, by being a man or woman of your word, do it by delivering value. And I guarantee you'll not be disappointed in the outcome, and you'll become who God's intended you to become along the way to receive it, because that's really what it's about. It's not about getting the car or the house or the money. It's about becoming who you're going to become in order to receive that.
I love that.
It's the journey that matters most. Get on the
Amen.
journey, enjoy every step of the way, but make sure you take that first step.
Indeed, indeed. Well, thank you so much for having me on here today. I hope that it was deliver value for some of the folks that are on here today.
Thanks so
Absolutely.
much, Randy.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.